Hello, it's the Oz Rugby scene on 89 Rugby, and in the guest chair for the next episode of the new Aussie Focus show from the Sydney Morning Herald, Jonathan Drennan. Hello, mate. Great to catch up with you. Happy New Year to you. Where are we? 4th of March. I'm determined to see how long I can keep saying Happy New Year to new guests.
Mate, where is the time gone? I'm a year older. I've hit a milestone. I've hit a milestone birthday. I never wanted to happen. I'm 40 years old. So yeah, here we are in March. Time marches on.
I know. Did you get caught as well, mate? Did you think, start of the rugby season, it's coming, it's still a little while away. I've got a little bit of time on my hands, and then suddenly, bang, round one.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Such a cliche to say, but it catches up sooner every year. And then obviously I'm really engaged just back home with Ulster and enjoying Angus Bell's format there. So it's a bit of an all round thing. And then as we see the state of the game at the moment, it's it all affects different aspects. So yeah, it's great to be back in the routine and the rhythm of Super Rugby. When you're doing Wallabies, you kind of forget how intense and what a sprint it is. But
yeah,
it's been a wonderful start to the year, and
it really has.
You couldn't argue with the start we've had.
No, you certainly could not. A quick explainer of 8-9 Rugby in 2026. Obviously, it's the next evolution of the 8-9 combo. Harry moving on means the combo part obviously is made way for this great line of guest hosts that I'm enjoying each week, and we extend this to the new show as well, the Oz Rugby scene, which is a new weekly show. Applies the same 8-9 style and format, but a more local focus on this part of the rugby world, which I've been really enjoying. So thank you, mate, for climbing in the host chair with me. Let's just get straight into it, mate. Here's cheers continues. What have you got for me? What are you celebrating around the rugby world at the moment?
Well, it's Wednesday morning, and I think we can definitely cheers with our late morning coffees to the news that Bernie Larkham, Stephen Larkham, Wallabies legend, has signed on to 2028, I believe, with the Brumbies.
Yep, correct.
I personally don't think huge surprise. It was well known that he was in negotiations. He still wants that Super Rugby title. I mean, at the end of the day, they've come so near yet so far. I think I'm right in saying 3 successive semi-finals. I think I'm right in saying since he's 4. Excuse me.
So sorry, 3 for him, yes, but 4 for the team. Yeah, that's right.
Dan McKellar got the other one, but since he's come back from Munster, and I think we can't forget that's a pretty amazing achievement. So he hasn't finished what he's built. Obviously, the discussion will keep on going on. Should he have been picked for the Wallabies? But I mean, you look at the state of Super Rugby. So you got Vern Cotter coming next in for the Reds, phenomenal appointment. Then you've got Bernie, who really, really knows what he's doing with these players now, and they're right there. Dan McKellar into his next season. We'll see how the Waratahs go away, and then obviously Cronny got a rare win in New Zealand. So I think just keeping him within the Australian rugby ecosystem, massive win.
Yeah, it is. And look, he was saying, as far as October, November, and certainly the Brumbies were saying, we want him to stay. He wants to stay. There's work to do. There's unfinished business, all of that sort of stuff. I think you're right. The 4 successive semi-finals is, they've had They know what it takes to take the next step. They just haven't quite been able to take it, and that's a pretty big motivating factor, I'd say, to keep going for the next few years. So that's a good one. I like that. You've touched on mine. 3 Australian wins on the weekend. Just this continuation of the great start for the Australian teams in Super Rugby. And 3 really good wins on the weekend just gone, and we'll get into them, I think, in a minute as well. But just the fact that they were actually able to do it could easily have been one of those weekends where there was no Australian wins, but to get 3 was a great outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just really enjoying just the fight that it took to get there. You particularly for the Force against Moana, you go to these regional New Zealand grounds, nothing can be taken for granted. So really, really delighted to see them get up. Obviously, the Reds, some really, really great performances. I mean, I just think we've just got so used to Fraser McWright and what he does that, he's a victim of his own success. But Really wonderful across the board. And obviously the Junkyard Dog showing what he's got. And then Carter Gordon, obviously a bit of a mixed performance, but I think we saw enough.
A good start, I reckon. Yep.
Yeah,
a good start.
Yeah.
A good start. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, really, really good.
Yeah. The great rugby chats will continue in just a second after you all hit the red subscribe button down there. If you're on the YouTube channel, hit follow, hit like, hit subscribe, whatever it is on the pod platforms where you are, and wherever you are, so that you don't miss anything. Make sure your notifications are all turned on as well. Super Rugby Pacific has started fantastically well. Some great results on the weekend, as we said, mate. For the Australian teams, great win for the Force, impressive win for the Reds. I don't think they'll be completely satisfied with that win, Queensland, and they definitely were talking post match about plenty to work on. The Hurricanes got a bit of a touch up in Fiji. The Crusaders came from the clouds to beat the Chiefs, and then obviously the Brumbies get it done in the 83rd minute in Canberra to beat the Blues. Queensland's probably a good starting point. As I say, I don't know if they'd be totally satisfied with that, but it was a good bounce. The Warriors lost in the first week, and that's probably the important bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, someone that I've been quite impressed with is Wershon at 9, who I believe is he's obviously going back to Benetton, so be an interesting season for him. But I think his service is really, really crisp. I think there's going to be more of an understanding with Carter Gordon. I think that it's an interesting way of looking at it, that you beat the Highlanders, who, yes, of course, are the weakest of the traditionally of the pure New Zealand teams. Obviously Moana, if we count them, but to bounce back, Queensland, it's still a fairly comprehensive victory. They left points out there. Carter Gordon, by his own admission, his handling was relatively sloppy. Yeah. But I mean, Salakai Lotto, I mean, he's back, and
enormous.
Yeah, he was, and just his work rate, and when it's channeled so well, and that really bodes well for the Wallabies. We know there's a huge step up from Super Rugby, obviously, goes without saying, but I mean, you'll take that every day of the week at the end, because it was a real banana skin for them. Interesting as well, obviously, Jamie Joseph, obviously, since now we're doing this live, Dave Rennie, which is, another big talking point, but you do wonder, probably not fair, but if he had got a big statement win at Suncorp, would that have changed things? I'm not so sure. Maybe that's not a fair comparison, but
so it's funny. There was plenty of mail after last weekend. There was plenty of suggestion coming around that things were happening. Jamie Joseph's going to be announced as the All Blacks coach on Monday or Tuesday. The wheels were in motion supposedly. And then suddenly not even a week and a half later, Dave Rennie's got the job. So surely they haven't made that decision based on that decision, that result on Friday night.
No, of course not. But what I'm saying is if the Highlanders go and they get a big statement win in Suncorp, it's, memory. I'm not saying they would make, of course they wouldn't make the decision based on one game, but I'm saying the narrative. I mean, look at what Australian rugby's doing at the moment. They're literally looking through the prism of Les Kiss and Bernie Larkin with the Brumbies and the Reds and going, oh, did we pick the right man? It's not a fair example. I'm just saying in the narrative of rugby, how that can happen. Yeah. But listen, I think the Reds will take that every day of the week. I mean, at the end of the day, there's big things to work on, but get some back on the road, back into form is exactly what they needed.
If you can pull out a bonus point win, 5 tries to 2, and then still say our line-out wasn't good enough, the scrum wasn't great, our handling wasn't particularly good. We had good midfield punch, we had good carrying, but maybe our breakdown work wasn't good. If you can still say all of that on top of the bonus point win, you're in a pretty good spot. Yeah, agree with that. The Force were good. I think they should be hard on themselves for letting the bonus point go, because they'd done the hard work. It was 33-7 into the last 5 minutes, and then they just let that bonus point slip in the end.
Yeah, but again, maybe looking on the sunnier side of the ledger, how good was it to see Derby Lancaster
Yes.
get in and get a
Yep.
try? Nice, maybe a bit of a fortuitous bounce from the Ben Donaldson kick, but that guy was just too good to be out of the Australian ecosystem. But maybe what wasn't just quite up to the level. The Waratahs, obviously Tristan Riley, great player as well. So I'm just really, really glad. And he's so young. You know, people forget, you know, he was captain of all of these, but he's 21, 22, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
he's super young. He came in as one of those many 19 Joe Smith debutants, but I mean the guy's ceiling is absolutely huge, and I think it's a really, really good environment for out there. But the other one actually from that game, great to see back. I mean Ben Donaldson during the November tour with the Wallabies. It's still a mystery to me, and I was out there why he wasn't there. Certainly within the broader squad when they had Hamish Stewart, his clubmate, as the reserve,
as the backup 10.
Yeah. So Ben Donaldson just getting a bit of a rhythm, and you know he's a very, very good Super Rugby player. So that'll do no harm to the force. I mean, obviously they have a huge journey. You know, it's always brought up, but you know, traveling to New Zealand for them on top of you know the massive journey they do, they can't take those wins for granted. And I think it's like the second win in 18 games or something.
Something like that. Nearly 20 starts or something like that. Yeah, and it was a really important win too, mate, because you know with the Highlanders and the Hurricanes, I think to finish their tour, you know, if they'd lost to Moana, it would have been a tough ask to go to Dunedin and try and find a win. Now they go down to Dunedin this weekend with confidence, and it's a completely different approach to that game down there.
I just want to say as well, like the great thing is, which sometimes you forget when you go into Test rugby, the brilliance of Super Rugby for me is just the absolute jeopardy. So I don't bet, and I don't even tip because I'll have egg on my face. But who genuinely would have predicted the Drua would have taken the Hurricanes? Like who would have done that? Maybe some people claim they would have, or you know.
So this is where I tell you that on 8-9 Rugby on Substack, we've got the tipping panel on there, and it's myself and Jeff Parks, and I've roped in Sean Maloney, I roped in Martin Devlin, and we're putting ourselves up against an AI bot, and we were chuckling amongst ourselves on Friday night because the AI bot had picked the Drua, and we were going, what's it doing? And I don't know how it's managed to do it. But
man, we bow down to our computer overlords. I mean,
I look forward to our machine overlords. Yes.
We're obviously, you know, my fault we're going off, but Lautoka, it's just such a special place. I was lucky to go there 2 years ago, and obviously the Waratahs I've got them later, but mad things can happen there. You know, it was obviously a cow paddock, but for me, that's part of the magic. You know, it's just absolute chaos. It's absolute chaos. I don't subscribe to the fact that it should be on a manicured field. I mean, obviously injuries potentially could have happened there, but what a spectacular finish there. And then from there, the Hurricanes then obviously come, you know, with a bit of a bloody nose to Sydney this week. So who's going to pick that? But again, going back, Moana taken out the week before, Moana taken out the Drua. So every game, which is you know, real positive for the competition, is jeopardy, more or less. I mean, Crusaders, you know, the week before really, you know, head in their hands, and then they go and take out the Chiefs. So it's so far, it's been jeopardy every single game, more or less. And, you know, I'm all for it.
Great. So, Moana beats the Drua in Fiji in round 1. The Canes put 50 on Moana in round 2. Then the Drua beat the Hurricanes in round 3. So there's that little circle straight away. I've mentioned for in my Rugby Pass column this week that this is the first time in the Super Rugby Pacific, guys, that by round 3 everyone's got a win. So typically the previous 4 seasons, by round 3 there were still at least 2 teams that were winless. So the fact that everyone's got 1 win, the Brumbies are the only undefeated team. You know, so the Waratahs are undefeated too. Obviously, they've just played the 2 games, so you know that they're the only one with 3 wins. So it speaks to how tight things are and the fact that anyone can beat anyone. So you know, as someone in public tipping comp, I go into this weekend, and as I did last weekend, going, this has got a real bad feel about it. This could be one of those weekends where you could just as easily get 1 as you could get 4. So yeah, that's good. I agree with you. The jeopardy thing is great. We want that. We definitely want that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was just, before the show, I've got a desperate short-term memory, and I was just reviewing the games and some absolute world-class tries as well. And then just moments, obviously the Charlie Cale, in the absolute red zone try for the Brumbies. That's, the other sport I cover is the AFL, and they call them those final siren moments, which just really do so much as an experience for fans. I just personally wish that, we could get more people into the grounds to watch it, particularly. And I know it's eternal. It's an eternal thing. And I think, hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn here, having done the Lions. I just think the stadium for the Brumbies, for the rugby, the Brumbies play, and the consistency. I just think it's a really, I think it's a poor experience. And, but they do the best what they have. You have to drive out quite far. It's a fairly soulless concrete bowl.
I've been saying the same thing for 10 years. They deserve to be playing in front of much bigger crowds than they are, and I don't understand why they're not. I do not.
For me, it's logistics. I think the stadium is just really ill fit for purpose. I mean, wasn't it built? It was built in what, in the
70s,
late 1970s.
It's 50 years old. It's older than me. Yeah, and that's saying something. Yeah, and it was an athletics track to start with. So built for, I want to say, a World Athletics Championship or something like that.
Yeah, and it goes. And let's maybe do the untraditional thing in Australia of actually thinking of broader codes. I mean, the Raiders as well. I mean, surely there is a market for a really good stadium which you could walk out of work, and whether you see the Raiders, soccer as well. Obviously we've had Matilda's games. I just think
it's true, mate. We know it's true. Yeah. It just needs to happen. I completely agree with you. And if the Raiders can get 15 to 16,000 there as an average, then there's no reason why the Brumbies can't as well. So how do we bottle this start to the season, mate? We've touched on the table, and it is incredibly tight right now. So the Brumbies, are up ahead. They're a game clear of the Waratahs and the Chiefs, but then Hurricanes, Blues, Queensland, Crusaders, everyone's on one win there. So we're talking 2 points between 4th and 11th. So, I mean, how do you just package up the start of this start of the season and how do we just graze from this for the rest of the year? Because there's going to be a blip at some point, obviously, but holy moly, if it can keep going like it is, geez, we're in for a good month or so ahead, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. But we had, we can't forget it was really entertaining rugby last season. I think what I'm interested maybe from a Waratahs point of view is I keep on having my eye on last year where they went 5 games unbeaten on their home games, which is forgotten because of the way the season unraveled. Then they got 1 win against the Force, right? I think it was maybe their penultimate game. So I think where the season maybe is going to even out, it's obvious, but injuries, last season, for example, the Waratahs lost Jorgensen, Stu Leahy for a lot of the season. So I think certainly things will change just by fatigue and everything else. We're really early days. It's hard to know where exactly we are, but certainly from an Australian point of view, you would have to be really, really happy with the start. And then you hope as well that just, winning, it's obvious, brings punters into the stadiums. But I think it's going to be a bit, the Hurricanes against the Waratahs, will that tell us much? Because the Waratahs are traditionally very strong at home. I'm not too sure. I think, and then obviously I think I'm right in saying the Waratahs, and they travel to play the Reds, I think, in the
I think that's right. Yeah. I think that's right. I'll double check that while we're going.
So that'll be the major narrative as well. If, can they shake off their homesickness for last season? And then that, certainly from a New South Wales perspective, will change things. And then the Brumbies as well. Who would have predicted? Maybe some people would have, but, before the season, you think the outs, it obviously 2 of their best players, Tom Hooper, and obviously, sadly, both injured. And then obviously, in the centres as well. Like it's just sorry, with Lennox. Sorry, like nobody could have predicted. And then Tiana Edmund comes in, and then Declan Meredith at 32 is playing really, really good rugby. So yeah, it's just, and then Rhys Van Neck, was it 4 penalties he won? Something incredible.
Yeah. And he just, I think he got caught off a Tu'ungafasi. He just used his lack of height advantage. You know, Tu'ungafasi's a big guy, and you know so the Brumbies, the scrums making their marks off the hookers, and Billy Pollard's not a small guy. Rhys Van Neck's a good bit shorter, so they've made their mark. Scrums go down, and Tu'ungafasi's having to go ahead of his hooker essentially to try, and he just got caught. I reckon he got caught 4 times. And it got to a point where they just had to bring him off.
Yeah, absolutely. Which you know, goes to the argument about there's scrumming isn't important in Super Rugby, which is we don't have enough time to go into that one. But I think
so much for making the game rugby league, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why the guy was subbed off. But I think, you know, we mentioned Stephen Larkham at the start of the show. To build that cohesion with this team. Now they're good rugby players. I'm not saying they're not, but they're, you know, Lennox, Atai, and Tom Hooper certainly last season, world class players. And sorry, let's not forget Tom Wright, world class fullback. So there's 3 world class players they've taken out, and they haven't missed a beat. So I think
Nick Frost hasn't played yet this year.
Nick Frost, but that says a lot. But that says a lot about the culture. You got Neville, who is 37 years old. Yeah, you know, hasn't missed a beat. And then also, lest we forget, the great James Slipper, who is he's auditioning. He's auditioning as a 5/8 with his beautiful kick off the side of the boot.
I said this on Saturday night on part of our ABC Sport call. Every now and again, Slips does something on the field just to remind us all that back in his junior days, he used to play a bit of 10.
No, he's fresh. He's fresh, and I think I had an interview with Bernie after the Crusaders win, and I was just chatting about Slipper, and he backed him in for a World Cup, and it's not actually insane.
Did he?
If you think about it. Yeah, he did. So if you have Slipper and you know you keep him fresh, you keep him maybe on a different schedule, Super Rugby, take out the travel. The World Cup's obviously in Australia. I don't think it's insane. I mean, the guy now obviously he needs to make a decision. Does he go another year? That's the major one.
I was going to say that the biggest impediment to this argument might actually be Mrs. Slipper.
Yeah,
because at this point in time, the indications are that this is it. But he said only a few weeks ago, well, everyone sort of thinks I'm pulling the pin this year. I don't know yet. I might decide to keep going. And I don't know. Every now and again he mentions that, and I keep thinking, have you run this idea past on the home front?
But the thing is, though, they could accommodate him in that. You know, for example, he doesn't do a November tour. I mean, I just think broadly, I mean, we're going into the Wallabies, but I think one thing about Slipper, which is really well known, is just culturally what he brings as well. He's obviously a very good player. He can play in an emergency, he can play both sides of the scrum as well, but he is so good with young players coming in and experience, putting the arm round. So if he decides to go again, how good's that? And then I saw also, you know, Valentini. I think he's hitting his straps again. Probably judged by exceptionally high standards. And then, you know, in November, the calf obviously still wasn't right. So yeah, he seems to be really enjoying his rugby.
He's really hit it front. Yeah. He'll actually sit out this week as part of the Wallaby load management type thing. Because the Brumbies have got 7 straight games. Like the Reds Waratahs Force will have all had their bye. Well, the Force will have theirs this weekend. So the other 3 teams will have had their bye inside the first month. The Brumbies don't get theirs till about round 8. So there might be a few Brumby. You know, Billy Pollard might be another one who potentially sits out a game in the next little bit this weekend, mate. And we've sort of touched on Waratahs Hurricanes. What games sort of really stand out there? I mean, my eye goes straight to the bottom of that list. Brumbies Reds on Saturday night is going to be a ripper. Blues Crusaders before it has got a bit of blockbuster feel about it too, doesn't it?
It's one of those ones where you just you sequester an area of the living room and you just park yourself all day. It's kind of dangerous. Obviously, I can justify it by work, but yeah, absolutely. I think Brumbies Reds, it's that Les Kiss, Larkham, coaching, tactical battle. I think it's really interesting. Such different styles of rugby as well. So, and I think the Brumbies, always so hard to beat in Canberra.
Yeah,
I'll just go back to the word cohesion. That's just what they seem. They know their game plan. I think probably the Reds have a really super, super high ceiling, but you can tell it's a bit more of a work in progress. Whereas, if the Brumbies are at the stage where Nick Frost is still, sort of, or even to a lesser extent, Tane Edmed, it's not being included. It's interesting times there.
So Nick Frost, and this has come up a few times in various different social media discussions and online on our Substack as well. So Nick Frost came back from the Wallabies tour having beefed up a bit over the international season, and so they've actually been trying to trim him back down to sort of evidently he's got a Super Rugby playing weight and he's got an international rugby playing weight, and so they're trying to sort of bring him down and get him ready for the higher aerobic type game that Super Rugby is. And we've seen games already with 41 minutes of ball in play. So the games are all go. So they always knew that he was going to be a few weeks away from the start of the season, but the way they've started the season, they just haven't had to rush him back. So they're actually doing a lot of his load management, I think, now, effectively. And even Tane Edmed is the same. They knew he was going to take some time to come up to speed in their systems and all that. He and Ryan Lonergan actually have a really good partnership and combination, because they've actually spent a lot of time together on the training track as a combo, and that goes back to Australia A, and other games as well. So, but again, they just, the way he's coming on and can help him close out games with his kicking game, with his goal kicking, it's a bit of a luxury that they're just sort of keeping. And so even this weekend, they're going to have one change, and that'll be that, and they just keep on rolling in. So, I mean, again, like had you have told the Brumbies a month ago that they'd be 3-0 and 2 bonus point wins after round 3, if you'd have told them that going into round 4 you'll have used 24 players for the year, they'd have ripped your bloody arm off to take that sort of continuity and all that. So it's a really good.
The biggest compliment I can give him is that we're not actually talking about Len Ikatai, Tom Hooper, and Tom Wright.
Exactly.
Hugely talented players, and
for a young team to pull out that win like they did last Saturday night with so many experienced guys not on the field, it just speaks to their their setup and their program and all that. So it'll be fascinating. Queensland were definitely better last week, and they were definitely better for having Harry Wilson back, Carter Gordon starting and all that. So they're getting a few fresh bodies back as well from injury. So and then there's just always been something in Brumbies Reds games for the last 10 years, probably. Like at various different points over this time, I've called it probably the biggest rivalry in Australian rugby at the moment, because yes, New South Wales, Queensland has the longevity, but in terms of sheer contest, it's been the Reds and the Brumbies for certainly all of Super Rugby Pacific and back before that as well. So it just shapes as I don't think it's going to be particularly high scoring this weekend. I don't know that it'll be a bonus point win to either side, but I just look forward to seeing what they're going to throw out, because it's going to be brutal. It's going to be a hell of a contest. Yeah, no, can't wait for that. And then obviously back in Sydney, I think it's a bit more of a barometer, the Waratahs Hurricanes.
not to diminish, obviously, the victories before, but geez, the Hurricanes are going to be coming with a point to prove as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no shame. There's no shame in losing at Fiji. Plenty of teams have done it, but it's really, if they get another loss in the trot of the season, it starts to be a bit more of a mountain decline. So, and then also for Dan McKellar, can he just keep? I mean, as I say, he had five wins in a row, successive wins at home last season. So winning at home generally wasn't the problem, but a Hurricanes team is never to be underestimated. So I think, I'm really looking forward to that, just to see how the Waratahs stand up there, and hopefully again go back to the crowds. It really wasn't great against the Drua. It's generally to be expected. Drua fans unbelievable, but generally to be expected. And you hope with the Hurricanes, but as ever with Sydney, and not
very good team this year.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I'd love to see a decent crowd for that.
Yeah,
and hopefully just keep the rhythm going for the Waratahs.
Yeah, I'll be intrigued to see what the Canes bounce back is like, because more and more teams now are finding the week after going to Fiji is the rough game. Do whatever you need to do in Fiji, but it's the week after is where the dip off it is. So if the Canes can fight that, if New South Wales can take advantage of it, who knows? Mate, this has been great. I've really enjoyed this. There's been so much good stuff to talk about. I think there's going to be so much good stuff to talk about again this weekend. It's been good to catch up. I better let you go.
Yeah, can I just say no, mate, it's just so good to actually be positive. We are in we're in such a, now obviously there's two sides to every story, but it's just actually nice to come off a week of Super Rugby and everyone's in a good mood. And let's not get too ahead of ourselves, especially now we've got Dave Rennie. They should have got rid of me when they had the chance. Now he's back, let us look up. But that brings a bit of spice as well, because players are like, right, I know who's in the chair for New Zealand. Maybe
he's going to play.
How he's going to play. Jamie Joseph spurned. Does that do something for the Highlanders? You didn't pick our coach. I don't know, but what I'm saying is, it adds a little bit of spice, and obviously New Zealand, Australia Rugby. I think I would love to have a penny for Hamish McLennan's thoughts. There now that Dave Rennie's come in, but no, it's really, listen, there is never a dull day in Australian rugby. And who knows, Zach Lomax, where is he going to end up as well? So we don't know.
Yeah, I'll bet he doesn't play rugby.
I agree.
He won't.
Yeah.
Good on you, mate. Good to see you. We'll talk again soon, hey?
Lovely to see you as well, mate. Cheers.
Wonderful to have Jonathan Drennan on the AUS Rugby scene on 8-9 Rugby, and he's going to be awfully busy coming up over the next little bit, writing for the Sydney Morning Herald and all that, and does some great stuff around various different sports as well. So make sure you check him out. And of course, the guest hosts keep rolling through each week. So I'm really, really loving that. On that topic, on 8-9 Rugby this week, I caught up with Scottish commentator Jamie Lyle for a great chat to preview the penultimate round of the Six Nations this weekend, and how Scotland could really turn the tournament on its head this weekend if they happen to get over the top of France at Murrayfield. It could be anything. So check that out, 8-9 Rugby on YouTube and wherever you pod, obviously. Have you found 8-9 Rugby on Substack yet? Jeff Parks and I have been busy building up a new outlet for rugby coverage down this way, and we'll hope that you will join us. We'll hope you join 600 subscribers that we've already built up in the first month, which we're just blown away about. And join in the discussion. We're having great chats, really, really good informed discussion in the forums as well, which we've been really, really enjoying. So I hope you'll find us on Substack and subscribe now to the new exclusive home of Jeff's widely regarded column, The Wrap. You'll only find it on 8-9 Rugby every Monday, plus plenty more great rugby writing throughout the rest of the week as well. Another Oz rugby scene is behind us. A huge thanks then to Jonathan Drennan for joining us and for getting into it. He's right. There is so much good stuff to talk about with the Australian rugby right now, and long may that continue. Tell us what you think by finding 89 Rugby on the socials. Have your say on the 89 YouTube channel as well, and you can find me on the socials at BMC Sport. This is the Oz rugby scene on 89 Rugby, and we will be back in your ears next week.